Okay, so just for the sake of clarity, I'm actually going to make I'm going to make a second tier here. Oh, whoops. Let's change the color. Okay, so we'll move Byleth there, we'll move Cable there, and then probably would feel comfortable putting the Belmonts there, and we'll put Lucario there because that's what I'm just not sure about, and I think that looks good, and then any characters from here? Yeah, I think this is good. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. With Belmonts, you really need to learn that mid-range. If you don't learn that mid-range, then Belmonts are going to feel very oppressive. But when you learn the mid-range, it becomes way more doable. And hello, Nady. All right. So, yeah, let's continue this whole triad. So personally, from my experience, I feel like Cloud is here. I could be wrong, this might be even, but personally, from my own experience, and just from what I know about both characters, I feel like Cloud is in slight advantage. The main reason why, see a sec, guy. The main reason why I feel like Cloud is over here in slight advantage and not in like even is just because of how much easier it got to fight him and just how easy it is to kill him. Because the biggest thing is like back in Smash 4, his biggest thing was he could just save limit. So while you could technically edge guard him, he should realistically find a way to make it back. The other thing too is that now that he has to be like way more cautious about how he uses that, and then you need to be very careful about that too. The other thing too is the hitboxes all got nerfed. So, well, the only one that really got nerfed was like neutral air. So it's like if you know how to play around down air, you know how to play around neutral air. That's very easy because before Cloud didn't even have to worry about can. That was like the biggest thing about Cloud that was super annoying. But now that he actually has to worry about can in the air, you have a much easier time of controlling him that way. And just because of that, like there was just like a whole dimension added to the matchup that just wasn't there before. Obviously, let's talk about the positives of Cloud. You know, very disjointed hitbox with Bear and Fair, really good for that. The issue with Fair is that move is slow, so while he can technically land with that and all that stuff, depending on where he is, you can stuff that out very easily. So realistically, probably not going to be landing with that. Or if he is landing with that, he's doing it at a very, very safe distance. Really good out of shield option. Climb hazard out of shield's great. Even if we space around it, if we're not perfect with it, he can climb hazard us. If we do Fair perfectly, he can't do climb hazard out of shield. Then obviously limit's still limit, so he still has confirms into limit. That will kill you. He still is pretty good at edge guarding us because he has limit. Those are all facts. That has not changed. Things that made Cloud are still there. But there's a couple of things that are different. So Nair doesn't ignore the neutral. Up air can no longer set up the juggle, which is honestly one of the absolute best things for him because you would be using up air to not only pressure shield safely, but to start your combo and then basically use that to set up into the kill. So no longer really has that as an aspect to do it. So when you're on the ground, if he's in the air, realistically, if he has Fair turned towards you, that's a very easy thing to be ready to just punish there. And not to mention, you can just parry that one pretty easily too. So not really too much to worry there. Down air, you just follow the trick, run in the same direction as Cloud. We're fast enough that we can keep at pace with him, punish him from the side. And then, you know, down air, certain instances it's safe, but other times like you just shield it and then it resets neutral. And then back air is obviously safe on shield, so you don't even bother punishing that. But you know, that just kind of resets the neutral. Down tilt's also ridiculously good. Legs are intangible, so that's really good for kind of just plowing through everything to set up the juggle, which kind of leads into the old kill areas that he had. So you're probably going to be seeing that a lot. But like, you know, his boxing moves aren't great. F tilt's pretty good because that can actually kill good distance on it. Like jab's a jab. Doesn't really do too much. Up tilt's, you know, good. It's good for keeping like your opponents already juggled and all that stuff, but on the ground, you're probably not going to be using that much against Duck Hunt. Like if Duck Hunt's crouching, I don't even think it can hit you. And the biggest thing is this: if you know how to 0 to death Cloud, it's really, really hard for him to get things done. So it's like, you know, get your initial combo, fair, grab, forward throw, fair. He should be at the ledge, get the ledge trap, and then just get like the Gimp there, and he's just dead. Obviously, there's going to be certain instances where it's like you have to get the directional air dodge, because the directional air dodge was the biggest buff to him in terms of recovery. So if you know how to plan for those, you'll be able to kill him easily. But if you're having a hard time catching that, he actually is much better at recovering in this game than he was in Smash 4 due to that. But, you know, he also can't spam air dodge, so if he does air dodge once and you have a lingering nair, he's dead. If you know how to space your nair when he's doing climb hazard, he's dead. So that's kind of the thing. If your punish game is not good on Cloud, it's an even matchup. If your punish game is really good against Cloud and you know how to like kind of exploit all of the different things he does in neutral, you're going to do good. Obviously, you know, it's not bad for Cloud. Like, he still has really good things. He can still kill you very easily. At the end of the day, he has a huge sword, so it will swat the way they can. It's just not nearly as easy as for him as it used to be. So because it takes so much longer for him to set up for all these things, like especially if he's facing forward and you're sending can at him, you either got a free air dodge or you get like the freest hit stun punish that you can possibly get on him because of that. So if you know how to exploit those things and you know how to do the ledge traps and specifically carry them there, and you always think to yourself, if I'm going to punish, I'm going to send him to the side instead of juggling him, you'll have a much easier time closing him out. That's what it mostly comes to. But, you know, there's arguments for it to be even. I personally just feel like it's slight advantage just because like I just know how easy it is to kill him, and I don't feel scared against him. That's just kind of what it comes down to. But, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if it swung one way or the other. All right. Next up, Game & Watch. I'm going to put him here. Game & Watch, he got a lot better in this game. Before, this was a strong advantage matchup. But because of the buffs, a lot of things got better. Of course, Bucket now being able to reflect everything makes it so that our projectile pressure is very different from what it was before. So basically, he can just knock back Can, he can knock back Clay Pigeon. So it makes it a little bit easier for him to absorb things as well into Bucket. So that's a huge buff as well. But like Fair is one of the absolute biggest nerfs I have ever seen on a character for a matchup. Because he literally can't move forward if he's facing you. If he throws out a bomb, you just Fair right through it. It's gone. You just kind of won that exchange right there. So that's a really good thing to have in our advantage. Obviously, his punish game is pretty ridiculous though. So if he gets you like in certain instances, it's going to be kind of hard to land against him because his juggling is very good. Our juggling's bad. His edge guarding has always been amazing, and that's always been the biggest source of his punish game against us, so he can close out stocks very easily that way. But just in neutral, it's not like there's really too much he can do. Like, he can sort of approach with back air, but if he doesn't do max spacing, Shield Can's going to beat it out, and it's not even like that safe on shield from what I remember. Not to mention, like while he's technically slow and floaty, you can just kind of space around it and fair him for going for things like that. Let me check exactly. Like down air, that's negative 17 on shield with the landing hitbox, so that's not safe. Back air's negative 13, so if he does max spacing, you can't grab it, but if he doesn't do the max spacing, you can. So that you have to be like a little bit careful about, but like this thing you can just hit. What else is there? Grounded moves are pretty good, but not as good as you'd think. Like, obviously, Rapid Jab is negative 28, but a lot of people don't punish it. But obviously, like, If he doesn't go into rapid jab and he's just doing regular jab, this is really good. -7. I don't know if there's another jab better than that in terms of frame data. But like forward tilt, -18 on shield. You can punish that for free. No one uses up tilt. Down tilt, -27. You can punish that for free. Dash attack is just deceptive with the way it looks. Just remember with dash attack, the second it touches your shield, the hitbox is gone, so you can automatically punish it. Up smash, you're not punishing it. It's -6. Forward smash, -15, -13. A little bit hard to punish, but you still can. Down smash, very gimmicky. So if you're far away, you don't really have an automatic punish, but like you can do like down air out of shield to like start pressuring him. So he doesn't really have enough. If he does something like that, then he might up B out of shield to like punish you, but honestly, it's not the worst thing in the world. The other thing too that you need to keep in mind is if you space fair, you can actually avoid the hitbox for up B. And when he does up B out of shield, he actually loses his double jump and he needs to land on the ground because he does not have his double jump. When he up B's out of shield on the ground, you exploit the fact that he cannot jump again and you just punish him for that. So that's an important thing to do. So when you know how to exploit him, it's not bad, but the matchup got a lot better for him. It's just, it depends how familiar you are with him. Game & Watch is a really weird character to fight, and many things that he does seem a lot safer than they are. Sometimes they are completely safe, but sometimes not even remotely. So you just got to know exactly when and where to punish it. All right. So next up in terms of slight advantage, I'm going to put Hero here. I just feel like realistically this is where he is. So this is the thing with Hero. Obviously, with Bounce, has one of the best, absolute best anti-duck hunt technology out there. Bounce is ridiculously good because, you know, you can't pressure with Can, you can't pressure with Gum, and you can't pressure with Click Pigeon. However, that doesn't make him good against fighting duck hunt because despite everything, he's still very, very slow. He's very laggy with like his actual attacks. The only time he's not so obviously if he has Accelerate, which, you know, that's a whole other thing. But when he has Accelerate, you fight it like Shulk. And if you know how to fight Shulk, it's just, okay, this is Shulk with less range. So that's not even that big of a deal. Obviously, you know, huge amount of cheese potential with rolling with the menu. So you obviously need to know how to fight against all the different spells, which are pretty good. But like, you know, while his potential for like cheesing you in so many different scenarios is exponentially high, and like, let's say he has the stock lead and you need to recover, he can obviously magic burst you to automatically win. You know, overall, it's like Hero's either even or it's like slightly in our favor, just because just like fundamentally as a character, you can just kind of like outframe data him and just kind of play around him, and you're not really gonna have too much of an issue. I would say though, I know Heroes have been doing a lot to optimize the character, so there might be some things that I'm not aware about with the character. So I guess for like safety's sake, I'm gonna put him in even, but I'm more inclined to believe he's in slight advantage. Let me put this here. Slight advantage Pichu. So Pichu, obviously, ridiculously good punish game. You know, when he gets in, he goes in. He's gonna make you hurt, but he's not necessarily gonna kill you off of one hit though. He needs to get like 3 openings for the most part. And if you know how to avoid like certain setups for kills, then you'll be fine. But of course, he does have some true kill confirms that you can't really do anything about. So at that point, it's just kind of you're at the mercy of the player and the stage positioning you're in as well, because some of his kill confirms are dependent on that. The thing with Pichu is that he dies way too damn early. So like Shield Can will legitimately kill him at like 130. And like if he gets hit by like a rogue up air, things like that, like he just instantly blows up. So like, you know, the neutral against Pichu and Pikachu is slightly in Duck Hunt's favor, where Pikachu at least has more ways to recover and has like more things he can, like he's going to be living longer in order to like get those kills on Duck Hunt, even though those are pretty hard to get in general. Pikachu kind of ends up being a more even matchup, or just because it's that much easier to kill Pichu off the same things. Like Pikachu and Pichu are basically going to be losing the same exact exchanges, and you need to win less of them to win against Pichu, and that's kind of the issue that Pichu runs into. So because Shield Can is so strong against Pichu, and it's like Pichu just has to deal with Can in general, and like the fact that like all your moves get significantly buffed against him in terms of kill potential, it's just that Pichu just ends up being a much easier matchup to deal with, just because you'll just kill Pichu just naturally. And it's not like you aren't winning exchanges. By definition of this matchup in neutral, you should be winning the majority of the exchanges. Like, Pichu does not have any neutral advantage. He just has like decent setups. And it's like, of course, if you're paying attention to T-Jolt staling, at a certain point you can Clay Pigeon through it and it'll automatically hit Pichu and you get a free combo off of that. Clay Pigeon is going to kill Pichu at 60%. Doesn't work. That was pre nerf to Pichu when his hurt box was so unbelievably small. After they changed the hurt box and made it a lot larger, like the hurt box is larger than Pikachu. Now it's reliable, so you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, that actually was a thing that happened before. That was annoying when it happened. Next up, let's talk. Yeah, this is where I'm going to put Peach and Daisy, side advantage. Obviously, Peach and Daisy, ridiculous punish game. Ridiculous edge guarding against Duck Hunt. Very good at that. The fact that they have the turn-ups does a lot for them. They can just kind of check it over certain things, and it does allow them to interact with our setups a little bit more. So it helps, but they can't really pull out too many. The biggest issue that these characters run into, again, they lose neutral a lot. You control the ground with gunmen, so that forces them to float in the air. When you throw the can in the air, that controls the air, so they need to respect that. And you can get a lot of like hit stun punishes from them, like trying to swat away the can. And not only that, you can kind of bait out attacks for them and like play the can around them as well. So there's just a lot of ways that you can control them very easily. And not to mention, you can kind of mess with them when they're trying to recover too. Have cans sent out to them. Gunmen as well, interfering with them, and then of course you can shield can the umbrellas. So a lot of different ways that you can mess them up. However, it's just like it's not that hard for them to get around your setup and like hit you if you're not careful. And it's like their punish game is super strong, so that will always carry them through it. So like again, an easier fight to fight for, like an easier matchup for us. However, it's like they just have enough tools to kind of get it. Like, they won't win most of the neutral exchanges. They're fairly light too, so they die pretty early. But they have just enough to just kind of get around it, where it's like it's a problem, but it's not a big enough problem for them. Let's see. Next up, we're going to put Robin here. So Robin is one of those characters where, for some odd reason, instead of, like, obviously they got rid of the checkmate, they just decided to allow Robin to randomly kill you at 60% with a lot of random moves. Of course, Levin Sword's really strong. Thoron is just disgustingly strong now. So if you don't know about like the forward throw Thoron setup and like you forget to air dodge, you're just dead. It's really funny. But again, Robin's really slow. It's very easy to trap all of his projectiles, and it's very easy to keep him trapped at ledge. Very easy to edge guard Robin. Although they did get a lot more horizontal movement off of it, so it's a little bit more tricky, but regardless, the goal plan is put out a hitbox between the ledge and Robin, and that's how you edge guard them. And then, easy character to juggle. The biggest thing is the range is really good. The disjoint off of Levin Sword is really good, not to mention it's ridiculously strong too. And Levin Nair is ridiculously good too. Really good at edge guarding us. Really good at ledge trapping in general. But if you know how the Robin ledge trap works, you can get back every single time. It's just roll the second arc fire comes out, then punish them. But yeah, just overall neutral, you're going to have the advantage. And if you know how to edge guard them, the punish game's kind of similar. But obviously, Robin's is going to be a little bit more stress-free for them to fight you than you to fight them, because they know they can kill you. As long as they're not dead, they know they can kill you with all the rage they have stored up. But in total, you're just going to have way more control over the match. That as long as you're playing fine, you shouldn't have an issue. But it's just because of the way that the sword works with Robin and the way they can still mess with your can and your gunman with their projectiles. They have some way to control the way that your setup works, but ultimately, if you're smart enough, you're kind of controlling their actions. So that's what it comes down to. Good punish game, good interactions with our setups, but we should still be in more control. And if you're good enough with understanding how to edge guard them, the punish game is going to be slightly similar, but of course they have more tools for that. And also, yeah, you always got to be careful with your projectile pulls, because if you're careless, they'll throw on right through and you're dead. So you always need to be careful about that. Next up, we shall put... Just because, like, I don't know, I forgot. I'm going to put Ice Climbers here. I know we can separate Ice Climbers very easily with our specials, Can, Clay Pigeon. So, honestly, you shouldn't have to deal with two of them at the same time. Not to mention, you can kind of block the Icicle block, so you shouldn't deal with that. If you know how to deal with their side B, very straightforward then. So, you just kind of have to figure it out from there. And then overall, you could sort of like pseudo edge guard them if they're recovering high, recovering low. Don't challenge Belay because how weird that hitbox is. But you'll edge trap them. They can't really get around Shield Can as it is. So yeah, that's kind of where that comes into. But yeah, and overall, I don't think they're a bad matchup, but I need to play it more to really have a concrete idea about it. But I know, like Wisdom said, he played Big D, and he's played Owl's Ice Climber, so he'd be able to tell you more about that matchup. Rosalina, forgot to talk about her. I want to say Rosalina's in slight advantage, but it might be advantage or slight advantage. I'm going to put her here just purely on speculation. More than likely in slight advantage, just because of like a tech that might have advanced, but I'm going to put her here. Basically, Luma nerfs helped so much in getting rid of all the... the rage cheese helps significantly. Basically, much easier to kill Luma. You can just kind of throw clay pigeons against it and like Can and Gunman, and that's going to obliterate Luma. Not to mention, it's just so much easier to hit Luma that you're able to kill it a lot easier, so you're not dealing with it as much. The new Nair is actually a lot worse for her because it covers just much less range now. So because of that, you're actually able to pressure with Can a lot easier against her too. So she does an air, okay, Can's got that covered. Whereas before, if she does an air, probably's gonna hit the Can. And then like, once you bait out gravitational pull, free up airs and everything. Of course, recovery, super exploitable. So if you know how to time your down air against Can when she's hitting up B, really easy edge guard there. And then if it's time for her to up B back, you can also time it with strong air as well if you're good enough. So just really easy to kill her, really easy to juggle her, really easy to deal with Luma. However, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some technology that Rosalinas have come up with to counter this, to like help improve not only like their combo game and everything, but they might have come up with like some anti-duck hunt tech. So more than likely is probably slight advantage, but I'm not sure. It's either advantage, slight advantage, or somewhere in between. Somewhere in between, I think, is a good point to put it for where our meta currently is at the moment. There's not a lot of Rosa players, there's not a lot of Duck Hunt players, so it's kind of hard to say. Raito, if he's played with Kirihara, he would have a good thought on this. Let's see what else. Toon Link, slight advantage. Basically, a slower version of Young Link, though that's kind of disrespectful to like the playstyle that Toon Link is, but it's kind of the same way that you'll think about the projectiles in terms of boomerang and arrows. Arrows, not really an issue to deal with. Boomerang, it's kind of slow, control space, but you can control it really nicely with Gunman, control it really nicely with Can. Very easy to outspace him with Duck Hunt yourself, so you kind of like look for him to just like put himself in vulnerable positions on boomerang pulls, on bomb tosses and all that stuff. And then, you just kind of punish from there. I think it's like, I forget it. I think it's Toon Links is the one where he can kill you off of up B out of shield. So that's one option you need to look out for. But, as long as you space correctly, I don't think it can even hit you. Let me just check the frame rate on it real quick. Yeah, so if you're not careful with how you fair shield, I think this can catch you and kill you. That's the one thing you need to look out for. But like other than that, there's not really a reason to be scared of him. Well, the mobility is different because like the thing is, Toon Link is floaty, but Young Link has the advantage of like the fast fall. So it's just kind of that, and the way that they do their setups is very different. So it's like, while he might be faster on the ground, Young Link is just still a faster character overall in terms of just like everything. Because it's like, you know, yeah, Toon Link at least has like a neutral nair of 6, back air frame 6 and all that. But, you know, Young Link's just faster. If you look at Young Link. Actually, what is Toon Link's jab? Yeah, like Toon Link's like frame 5. I think Young Link's is frame 4. Yeah. So slightly faster there. You have Nair, which is frame 4, so you got a faster move there. Back, you're still frame 6. But obviously, they both have a frame 14 forward air and whatnot. But yeah, no, Toon Link overall is just he's slower. He's easier to deal with. So it's just kind of easy to get your setups up against him, and it's just easier to just like get the punishes on him. Afro, if you're still in here, just ban that person. Yeah, like that's it. Like if you just look out for bombs and you're blocking them, like Toon Link's really not going to do much. So it's pretty easy. Cool. Man. So yeah, that's why Toon Link's in slight advantage. And next up, let's talk. Okay, I feel like this one's probably like a bit more controversial. Olimar I'd put in slight advantage. Basically, you know, if you know how to fight the Pikmin, not too bad to do. Oh, no, the floatiness makes it so much easier to fight Toon Link. Just because he's way more of a sitting duck to the can. Like, basically, he just has to deal with it. And if he gets stuck in, like, the hit stun animation of hitting away can, that makes it so much easier to punish him. So, yeah, like, when you know how to fight floaty characters are among the most stress-free to fight. But, yeah. Overall, Olimar, very small, very light character. Pikmin are definitely kind of annoying in the way that they interact with Ken, especially when they run back. Like Rido, if you ever see him fight an Olimar, there's so many times he's going to spawn a Ken as a Pikmin's running back, he just blows himself up. It's just a thing you need to get used to when you're fighting him. But yeah, no, overall, like, Olimar can get some really good punishes, but as long as you know how to play the spacing game, you know how to fight all the Pikmin and all that stuff, you know how to get the Pikmin off of you, it's not really just too much of a threat. Like, again, if you can get the purple set up, that's pretty good at messing with all of our other things that we want to go through, not to mention purple will kill you very early. But if you can play around that, you kind of know how to outspace him, you kind of know where to place your projectiles against him and all that stuff, and just like keep him juggled and edge guarded, you won't really have too much of an issue with Olimar. So like overall, not bad for him, but I think we just have slightly more tools in our favor for that. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. And I want to say that's it for the advantageous ones. I might come across more. Actually, let me put Gunner over here. So, Gunner, this is an unconfident placement just because I haven't played the matchup enough as Duck Hunt. But this is what I always hear about Gunner. When you understand how their projectiles and everything works, they become one of the absolute worst characters in the entire game. So there's a chance that this might like be advantage, but I don't think it's as bad as Samus. Just because like I think they kind of have ways to get around our stuff, like particularly with the way that grenades work. But I might be very wrong about that. There's a very real world where Gunner actually might be like this bad, but I haven't played it enough to really say. So for now, you know, I'm gonna put Gunner here. For now, I'm gonna put Gunner here. Just know this is a very unconfident pick. But more than likely, it's probably way more in our favor, but I do need to learn more about this character. Okay, yeah, I want to say... You know, we'll put two more. I'm going to put the Pits in slight advantage. Pit, obviously, good edge guarding, good speed, good burst range, good things in general. Good Reflector, but Reflector doesn't really mean too much against Duck Hunt in particular. They got a lot of buffs that helped a lot. A lot more consistent combos, a lot more consistent killing and all that stuff. So overall, a much more solid character, but you should be able to keep them out relatively easily. They do have a disjoint, so that means they can be a bit safer against you. And, you know, they're going to be getting most of their punishes off of edge guarding. The other thing that helps too is the fact that their side Bs are a reflector. So honestly, we can kind of stop them in their tracks with our projectiles if they do decide to just kind of go like full Rambo with it. So that's a pretty easy way to kind of disrupt their game plans and whatnot. So overall, it's like I think because of the buffs, it did get better for them. But there is a chance that the pits might be an advantage or slight, but I'm going to put them there for now. Overall, you know, they're not great at fighting Duck Hunt, but like I don't think it's really like that hard for them. But we'll have to see. They do have to deal with Can quite a lot though. Like Fair's not that great at hitting it because of how slow it is. Nair's not the best at dealing with Can as well, just because it has the most abysmal hitbox known to man. Show that right here. Yeah, like this thing can't deal with Can at all. It's so sad. And it's like their forward air is frame 11, so it's kind of slow. And the hitbox is so strange, because it's like where you think it would be at Pit's hand, it's like right below it. I don't know why it's like that, but it just is. But yeah. Overall, he also can do like some air camping things, so that's kind of a nice feature for him. And welcome back, Balloon. Okay, yeah, let's talk about even ones. Immediately off the bat, I know some people were kind of questioning these, but I feel pretty safe in putting them here now. Isabelle and Villager. In terms of which ones that I think are fighting easier, Isabelle's easier to fight than Villager just because Lloyd Rocket's better than Fishing Rod in this matchup. That's mostly it. But other than that, pretty much like the main things that their matchup's going to rely on is going to be Fair Bear and Pocket. So if a Villager or an Isabelle does not know how to use Can, this matchup immediately becomes this. However, when they know how to use Can properly, it's one of those where they actually do have setups to like legitimately kill you at 60%, and you need to be very, very careful about that. So if you're smart about it, you'll be careful with how you're throwing out your cans and your clay pigeons. The one thing that you must never let an Isabelle or Villager do is absorb your gunman. If they absorb your gunman, that is, especially the Sombrero gunman, that is the freest unreactable kill move that you have ever seen in your entire life. Like, you explode at like 100. It's terrible. So what you want to do is you want to focus on making them pocket can or clay pigeon. When they do that, then you can start using gunmen to control the ground, and that's actually really good for controlling them. But like after that, you do need to be careful about which projectiles they have pocketed and exactly how they can use them against you. So play safe, camp back, but obviously if they pocket one can, you can throw out another can, so you never have to worry about that. Can's always in play regardless of what they do. Yeah, no, like that's the thing. Like if a Villager, when the Villager and Isabelle are inexperienced in the matchup, this is one of the easiest matchups for you. If they're experienced, it becomes even immediately. Just because it's such a powerful tool that you are going to have to use regardless of what you want to do. And then of course, Slingshot's very good for dealing with the can in general. So, you know, a lot of good solid options that they have. It's just that they don't really have anything that clearly makes them win, and there's nothing clearly that makes Duck Hunt wins. It just kind of who outplays who at the end of the day. That's like, it's like a really good definition of an even matchup. Next up, let's put a good old Pikachu here. Pikachu, you know, despite everybody like kind of crying to the gods that he is the best character in this game, he honestly still loses to range. He has a really hard time dealing with Can just for the fact that if you're playing like around Shield Can, he doesn't have anything safe against it. So, you know, he really needs to pick his times carefully on when he goes in against Duck Hunt. And, you know, you can shield it from things like Thunderjolt. Once Thunderjolt stales, you can Clay Pigeon through it as he's descending, and that's an automatic Clay Pigeon punish against him. So, like, that's a really strong option to have there. And then, you know, he's light, so he dies early. So he's a character, like, Can will kill him reliably eventually. and you don't really have to be too worried about it. The big thing, though, punish game's ridiculous. Like, edge guarding, nair off stage. Oh, excuse me. Into down air. Like, the new down air from Pikachu is absolutely toxic. So, if he's good at landing that, you'll die pretty early. Always been good at edge guarding us, you know, Thunder Jolt away the can, and then jump fair, things like that. Of course, he also has Thunder too. So it's important for you to like kind of zigzag and mix up your recovery and then do your air dodges back. So that's kind of the big thing there with Pikachu. And the thing the other thing about Pikachu is this. It's very hard to find a good Pikachu player. Most of the Pikachus that you're going to fight are going to be very, very bad at them, like just being Pikachu, because Pikachu's actually, despite what people would tell you, he's a very difficult player to play. He's a difficult character to play good. So as long as you're diligent, you know how to set up your shield cans against him. You know how to play against T-Jolt and everything. You know how to play against Quick Attack, though that's not really used that much in this game. You'll do fine against him. It's just, obviously, Punish Game's really good. He's fast, so he'll get in. It's just knowing how to set up against him when he gets in is most of the battle. Honestly, another character I should put Banjo over here. Banjo, he kind of suffers from that one issue of the fact that once somebody is on him, he has a very hard time getting out. Like, he just doesn't have a good CQC option at all. So it's really easy to keep him juggled. The one thing that you need to look out for is Wonder Wing. Yeah. That's the thing, though. It's like, you know, Pikachu's good, but it's honestly not that good. Like, against good duck hunts, like, ECM's record against them isn't that great, actually. It's like, when you're fighting, if you're a good Pikachu player and you're fighting a general duck hunt, it should probably be a 6-4. But if you know what you're doing, it should be even. That's the way that I always see it. But, let's see. Yeah, so Banjo. The biggest thing about Banjo is you need to always be careful about Wonder Wing. Because the second that you press Can, the second you press Clay Pigeon, the second you press Gunman, he can press side B and kill you if you're at percentage for it. So you always, it's kind of like playing against Zelda when you know she always has teleport available to her. You always need to be very, very aware of that. So when you're fighting Banjo, be careful about that. His Nair, unlike Pitts, is actually really good at dealing with Can, so you have to be aware of that. You have to know that he has drag down bears that can lead into things too. So a whole bunch of things you have to be careful about. So overall, Banjo, there might be some technology on his side that might make it slightly better for him. That would put it more to like even or maybe even slightly his favor. But I would consider this just the fact that you can just kind of like overwhelm him, swarm him, and edgeguard him fairly easily. I would put Banjo in a slight advantage for Duck Hunt. Yeah, no, honestly, like, Pikachu's really not that bad. Like, Pikachu loses to range, Pikachu loses to platform camping. Those are two things that Duck Hunt's really good at. And not to mention, it's like, he can't use T-Jolt to approach at all, too. So, as long as you got your can set up and everything, and you know how to, like, kind of platform camp around him, he'll be fine. The other thing, too, that we're lucky at is that our mobility keeps up with Pikachu, so it's not like he can really outrun us. Like, just like in a general match sense. Yeah, that's what I was saying. With Banjo, you need to be very careful about your projectile pulls. Otherwise, like, he'll just kill you. So he's very much a matchup check character. Pac-Man I'd put as even. This is one of those, another one of those like knowledge check matchups, because Pac-Man obviously has a lot of weird niche things. Duck Hunt has a lot of weird niche things. And you need to know a lot of specifics for fighting Pac-Man. Just like how we bait people to hit the can, Pac-Man baits people to hit the hydrant. So you kind of have to understand what you should be doing against the hydrant, depending on the positioning that Pac-Man's in, and depending on what fruit he has. So that's a very careful balancing game that you have to do. How he likes to use the bonus fruit against you is also careful too. Once he has Key, obviously that's kind of like an auto thing that he can use against you to hit you. So you need to be careful about that. But the thing is, if you know how to use like the items against him, like if you catch fruit and you just kind of camp with it, it's hard for him to get anything done. So overall, I think fully optimized, Pac-Man's probably in slight advantage, but he has an easier time killing. There's a lot of like advancements that need to be done on both sides for the matchup. So I'm just gonna put it at even for now, just because I'm not really too sure. The way that I see it, probably Duck Hunt favored, but for now, even. Both characters have enough against the other that the better player should win. Like, that's the definition of even matchup. This is where I'm going to put Piranha Plant for now, because I have no idea how to rate this character. Just to briefly go over the reason why it's kind of weird. So first of all, I haven't played against many good Piranha Plant players, and I gotta emphasize good. Like, I can play with eye donuts, but unfortunately our connection is the absolute worst thing in the world, so I can't really play the matchup. But this is the thing. While Piranha Plant should technically need to approach Duck Hunt, Poison Cloud interferes with Can and everything else so much that we technically can't really force him to come to us. So it's hard for me to say. The other thing too is, like, obviously both characters can ledge trap each other like crazy. Both characters can edge guard each other like crazy. So in like those terms, like, I don't think it's that difficult. And then if we're playing a general mid-range game, Duck Hunt's obviously going to win that. But the punish game is always going to be way skewed in Piranha Plant's favor. So that's kind of where that dichotomy comes into. So if you're playing like scrapping, like just two people just going at it, Duck Hunt wins that. But off of one interaction, Piranha Plant can just almost kill you, and especially if he can get you out to the edges, he can do that. And it's like, if both characters are committed to not committing to moving in, there really should be a stalemate there, just because realistically, Duck Hunt doesn't have a good way to influence Piranha Plant. Piranha Plant doesn't have a good way to influence Duck Hunt. So it's just like, my head of thinking about this matchup is, it's really hard to say. It's really hard to say. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, if Piranha Plant's set up, we can't really approach him, and if we're set up, Piranha Plant has no way to approach us because he can't approach in general. So like, that's the weird thing about it. So it's just, I don't know. Because I'm so unconfident in like calling anything Piranha Plant, I'm just putting him in even. Yeah, which that's definitely like a more of a hot take. Like, realistically, I see it more going here, but I truthfully don't know. Like, if both characters are playing at their best, I really don't know how to call it. Mario, I'm going to put in slight advantage. Mario overall, really good speed, really good mobility to get in. However, no range, loses the shield can, and doesn't really have a strong way to get in. Basically what happens is, if Mario gets in, it's because you pulled a projectile at a bad time and you weren't calling out the area that he was coming in. And then of course, you know, Mario's punish game's ridiculously good. Carry you off the top if you're playing on Yoshi, so never play on Yoshi's story. But as long as you're not playing on Yoshi's story and you're not at up air fair percent, it should be decently hard for him to get the kill on you. It's like, he can try to go an edge guard, but it's kind of risky for him. So overall, not bad for Mario, but it's just like, the tools are slightly in our favor. And now that like up smash is severely nerfed too, it's like, that's not really, when he has to like kind of scramble kill, that option's not nearly as good as it used to be too. So, I mean, obviously he has other things too that are ridiculous, but overall, if you're playing as good as you can, Mario's game plan at the end of the day still comes down to Duck Hunt has to mess up for him to win. So that's the reason why I put Mario as just a slight advantage. It's easier for him to get in, but the game plan is still Duck Hunt has to mess up. Okay, next up, we're going to put Marth and Lucina. Marth actually might be slightly better at fighting us than Lucina is, but just for now, I'm going to put them here. Basically, Marth and Lucina, quintessential sword character, really good at dealing with can, really good at dealing with projectiles. The floatiness kind of helps them just hop around gunmen. However, so neutral-wise, they don't have a bad time dealing with us, but we obviously have the advantage just because we control their actions. And when they leave the right opening for us, we can punish them pretty well and get them to the edge. Not to mention, the Marth Slayer at the ledge makes it really hard for them to recover. So all those things are great. However, if they get one hit on us and they can carry us off stage, they should kill us almost every single time they go for the edge guard. Like, that's how good their edge guarding is against Duck Hunt. So that's always going to be the big issue that we're going to be dealing with in this matchup. And it's one of those where it's like, the tools on both sides are relatively similar, and it's like one of those, the better player's going to win. I wouldn't say there's really anything like directly in their favor that puts it any more in their favor. Marth just might be slightly better because there are tipper setups that he can do, and he's generally going to be playing in tipper range. So he actually might be better for the matchup. But for now, I'm just going to put them on the same level. This point, Sonic definitely belongs here. Sonic is one of the most even matchups in the game. Basically, Sonic has to approach you in the very beginning, so that's bad for him. And once you get the percent lead, it is so hard for Sonic to do anything against Duck Hunt that it's grueling. However, the reverse also happens. When Sonic gets the stock lead against you, it's very hard to trap him and catch him, so he's going to be playing the clock. But the one thing for Sonic is this. With Sonic, we have a much easier time capturing him because we can throw out our cannon gunman. So we can actually corner him and set up one escape route and punish that. So that's not too hard to do. So overall, I would say the matchup's probably easier to play as Duck Hunt, but it's a very even matchup overall. Sonic has more explosive moves that will just kind of knock Duck Hunt out, as well as pretty good edge guarding too. But neutral wise, I think Duck Hunt has a bit more than Sonic going for him, but it's not a significant neutral advantage. It's just if we have it, the advantage, then that's it. Yeah, Game & Watch real quick. Basically, the matchup got better from Smash 4. Overall, can't approach because of fair. Reflecting with Bucket's really good, but he doesn't really have a safe way to approach Duck Hunt, and we can still control most of his actions and hit him. And something to remember is you can fair outside the range of up B out of shield, and when he does up B out of shield, he loses his double jump, so you can punish that very easily. So overall neutral, very easy to control him. He's very light, so he dies really early too, so we don't really need to win too many interactions. And the last thing is that Game & Watch also has a really good punish game just because of the edge guarding and really good juggling too. But yeah, if you know how to punish those things and all that stuff, you'll be fine. Let's see. Next up, I'm not really confident on where I want to put Link because I haven't fought Link in this game too much. But I'm going to put Link as even. He's kind of like the antithesis of Duck Hunt in a lot of ways, where basically setup character, but his setups are slow. And he's slow himself, but he has very, very strong punish game. He kills you very early. So I think it's like that. So it's neutral wise, you should be winning more. And you need to know exactly how he likes using his bomb so you know how to control his bomb. Because every Link's kind of different. Some just toss it and explode it. Some like to toss it and leave it in areas for a while, then knock you into it and explode it to use it for a combo. So understanding how to control that against them is very important. And it's going to be different on between each character. But I haven't played this matchup enough to really know if we have anything that super excels over him. But overall, I just feel like it's even. We kill him later, but you can edge guard him very easily. And he's going to kill us off a few exchanges, but it's going to be hard for him to get those exchanges and openings. So that's the way that I see it. Also put Young Link here. Young Link, he's either here or slight advantage. But the big thing with Young Link is he's super fast. He's basically like a gnat, where he's going to be throwing out a lot of things like crazy. Okay, Nair is not an approach option. If you look at Game & Watch and you look at this, this is very annoying on shield, but you have to understand this thing has no range on it. It's the main thing is that it has 7 frames of landing lag, which is pretty good. So what you could do is just you do that and then you wait for it to it, and then you can just whiff punish with fair. And not to mention, it's you can just be Nair's gonna lose to shield can, and that's gonna lose to clay pigeon as well. Yeah, no, LYC is always good to watch for that. But yeah, Young Link basically quick little gnat. The good thing is you don't really need to deal with the arrows because we're too short for them. And then also, actually that's slight advantage. We're too short for them. Boomerang, obviously we're kind of small, so just look where he's going, but it's quick, so it can be a little bit tricky to deal with. And then bombs are bombs. Between Young Link and Toon Link, they're basically the exact same thing. They lead into kill confirms, but they're slow to pull, but they're very good items in total. So just be a little bit careful with that. The nice thing about Young Link is that you can outrange Fair, Nair, Bear relatively easily. It's just that the best way he's going to catch you is because of how quickly he can move because of his fast falling. but he's not that fast horizontally in the air. So that's kind of like the one caveat with him. But yeah, no, overall, does have like some nice ways to get kill confirms. Yeah, because as Young Link, you're going to be doing short hop arrows. If you do standing arrows, you're not getting a confirm off of that. So that's like the main thing. Like he can jump, charge the arrow, and then shoot it. But like if you have like can or gunman on the ground, then that's going to block it anyways. So like realistically, you're not dealing with arrows too often. Yeah. And not to mention, it's like, you know, you could edge guard Young Link. Not the easiest hitbox to edge guard, but it's not impossible. It's the same as the other Links. And then, what's the last thing? Yeah. I mean, the thing with him is just because he's so fast and small and, you know, he can maneuver his boomerang so much. He can mess with Can very nicely, but he has a hard time dealing with Gunman. And then, you know, he can weave his way around, but you can kind of weave your way around him as well because of your setup. So overall, I think you're in more control of him, and both characters kind of kill at the same percentages too. So that helps a lot as well. So overall, not that bad of a matchup. And it's like, I just think because we have a slight neutral advantage, it's in Duck Hunt's favor. You kill off the same amount of openings and all that stuff. It's just that Young Link can technically win trades because he has a disjoint with the sword. But that shouldn't come too much into play. Like, it should come a lot more to play with Toon Link and regular Link than Young Link. But, yeah, that's where I'd put him. Next on here, we're going to put Wolf. Wolf is one of those characters that everyone's going to complain about. But at the end of the day, he's a space animal, and you treat him like a space animal. The biggest issue against Wolf is because his hitboxes are so big and meaty. It's actually kind of hard to anti-air him with up air specifically. With up air, you need to make sure you go for hit 2 or 3 to anti-air him. So you need to do it very early. But overall, he's going to trade really nicely. Laser's kind of annoying, but they nerfed that, so it's not as annoying as it used to be. But you can obviously anchor can. You can anchor can laser, so then that way he has to approach you. So it's not that big of a deal. Reflector, very easy to bait out and punish that. Edge guarding him's not too bad either, because basically if he does Wolf Flash, the hitbox is not there before he Wolf Flashes. So if he does side bait, you know he's going to do it. You can put like down angled F tilt, or you can put a Nair in that area, and then it'll beat him out every single time. So it's a pretty easy way to kill him. Obviously, if he goes for up B, then you know you can't really react to that. It's just you have to hit him before the up B happens. And, you know, that distance isn't too great. So if you get him far enough, he's dead. But yeah, no. Overall, I think he's better. I do think he's, like, slightly better at fighting Duck Hunt compared to Fox and Falco. But, like, yeah, he's nowhere near the worst. And actually, that brings me to the next point. Fox, Falco. So, Falco... Losing to Falco as Duck Hunt is a complete meme. That means like you have no control over your projectiles, and the Falco knows it. So once you learn how to bait out Reflector, it's a lot easier. The thing with this, it's like Falco, I think we used to beat him back in Smash 4, but in this game, I think it's even just because his punish game got a lot better. And the thing is, before he didn't have a combo that killed, but now he can kill off combos. So it did get a little bit easier for him in that regards. But like in terms of getting like an actual opening against Duck Hunt, it's kind of hard for Falco. And the thing is this, is if you hit Falco off stage, as long as you know how to deal with Illusion and Firebird, he should be dead every single time. Same thing kind of runs for Fox. You get him off stage, he literally should just be dead at that point. The thing with Fox, though, is that he's really, really good at getting in and making it really hard for Duck Hunt to set up. And he's a master at doing that. However, it's like once you're set up, Fox kind of has a hard time dealing with that. And his juggling capabilities are good, but like they're not going to be the thing that's going to get you killed. He kind of has to do a read to get a kill now. So this is the thing that you always need to remember with Fox or any character that can kill you off of like 2 hits. Like if a character can touch you and just kill you, then the thing is they can make that look like the most one-sided matchup. Like, let's say I was fighting one of you guys and I played like, let's see, like, you know, let's say I played Ganondorf and I just 3-stocked you because I understood all your habits and how to hit you. somebody might look at it like, oh, hey, that's definitely a matchup in Ganondorf's favor. The thing is, like, with Fox is, like, because he's so explosive a character and he can blow you up for any small mistake. And Duck Hunt, like, that's the thing. When Duck Hunt presses the B button, he's locked into that animation for a minimum of 40 frames. So regardless, like, if you're not careful, there's a lot of, like, big open windows. It can look very one-sided very easily. But as long as you're kind of conscious about that, it's not that bad. Wolf, the reason why that I put Wolf here is, like, honestly, just optimize your killing game against him, and, like, the nerfs that they did to him just made it a lot easier to deal with him in general. You shouldn't be losing neutral to him. You should be losing trades because his hitboxes are very good, but you don't focus on trades. Whereas, like, Fox and Falco, you can kind of trade with them as they're trying to land. Wolf, you punish the landings more, and you're going to be doing the same things. And then if you know how to edge guard Wolf Flash and all that stuff, he's dead. Like, there's just not too much that he's really going to do. Like, the philosophy for Fox and Wolf are pretty similar. It's just that Fox, your hitbox more often than not are going to beat him out when he's in the air. But Wolf, it's not going to happen. You have to, like, think about it like King K. Rool. Like, King K. Rool, if he does, like, a nair, you're not going to win if that nair is out. Wolf, if he does a nair, you're not going to win if that nair is out. So you wait for the landing, and then you punish it. Yeah. So it's kind of like a mind switch thing. Like, obviously, you can do a preemptive up air where hits 2 and 3 will anti-air him and all that stuff, and that's the thing that a lot of people run into an issue with. But other than that, it's not too difficult. Obviously, like, Wolf has some other things. Like, I think out of all the space animals, Wolf is the best one at fighting Duck Hunt. Like, you know, dash attack's really good, back is very good, all those things. But, like, you know, Falco still has the best reflector in dealing with it. Falco has a better combo game than Wolf, too. It's just like Wolf has just really good meaty hits. That's kind of it. And if you know how to deal with that, then, you know, it's going to be one person or the other just kind of out-reading. Actually, has the music stop? Yeah. Evens, Chrom, Roy. Should be pretty self-explanatory. Chrom is easier to fight than Roy for the one reason that, like, you can just kill Chrom at, like, any instance at all, just because, like, his recovery is the absolute worst thing. The second he aethers, either down air from the top or just full charge F smash and just kill him, or you can just put a nair up in the path of where he needs to recover and he's just gone. Oh, actually, I forgot to do this. Min-Min's here. Min-Min, real quick, really good punish game. Obviously, like, has a lot of good tools to, like, kind of keep Ken out. But this is the thing. She's really bad at fighting short characters, and it's really easy for Duck Hunt to get in. You know, despite the fact that, like, things like Ram in there and all that stuff. So it's like she kind of leaves herself, like, laggy and open quite a bit, and it's pretty easy for Duck Hunt to kind of navigate his round and get in. You're not going to be setting up against Min-Min like you would against other characters, which is kind of like the one difference. It's pretty easy to get in against her. The reason why I'm going to put her here is, honestly, you know, Min-Min's very unoptimized. Duck Hunt against Min-Min is very unoptimized. So there's still a lot of things to figure out, but, like, with what we know about the character, what we know about Duck Hunt, that's kind of where it is. Yeah, no, like, Pikachu's T-Jolts don't work, and Shield can't beat it out. Okay, also over here, this is where I am going to put Snake, put Yoshi. Actually, honestly, Yoshi's more here. And Sheik's actually here. So let me talk about... So yeah, that's Chrom. Roy is better at fighting Duck Hunt compared to Chrom. The main thing with Chrom is that, like, he's just a very, very fast sword fighter, so he can be, like, a little bit difficult to deal with. But, you know, still terrible recovery in general, but it's better than Chrom's. Just, you know, he's not going to die immediately off of one hit. Really, really good punish game. So, you know, he can kind of, like, blow up Duck Hunt pretty quickly like that. But at the end of the day, if you know how to fight sword characters like Martha and Lucina, you're not going to really have too much of a difficult time with Roy. Because Roy's way more committal than Martha and Lucina are. And that's kind of his strength and his downfall, too. So that's kind of the main thing with that. Let's see. Next up, Slight disadvantage. So yeah, Yoshi, basically a better version of Jigglypuff. So really, really fast in the air, really good hitboxes, and Egg can be annoying to deal with. However, this is the thing with Yoshi. Yoshi's a gimmick when it comes to Duck Hunt. Again, kind of runs into that same issue. Every option that Yoshi has loses to Shield Can. Yoshi does not have a safe option against Shield Can. Not to mention, if you're good at parrying, if they're approaching with like Nair or Fair, free punish off of that. Also, Can is able to eat up armor pretty early. Like I think at 100%, if Can hits Yoshi, I think it breaks the double jump armor. So they're basically dead at that point. So a lot of times, like they're either going to hit it or they're going to try to air dodge around it. So you just kind of need to play around that. It's just that because Yoshi's so floaty and so fast, there's kind of like a lot more like niches that you need to be ready for. But like overall, it's just not that bad at all. I just kind of play around that and you'll be good. Next up, Sheik. I forgot to talk about Sheik. Sheik basically just got easier. Sheik is one of those characters where really good neutral. Definitely like one of the best against Duck Hunt in terms of just like being able to mess with Can. They can make it pretty hard for Duck Hunt to set up just with how quick they are. But the thing is that you need to be so on point with finding a way to actually kill with Sheik that if you can't do that, literally if I just trade with you 5 times, Sheik's at death percent. And like Can's gonna kill Sheik at like 130. It's actually kind of insane like how quickly she dies to it. So like Shield Can is ridiculously good to use against her. Obviously, if you want to see the best Sheik at fighting Duck Hunts, it's Void. And like now he's also like kind of allowed a lot of things out in terms of like tech for killing as well. But it's honestly been a while since he's fought a really, really good Duck Hunt player and a really good Duck Hunt player to learn the actual Sheik matchup. So until we see that, my opinions on that might change. But like overall, it's just like she doesn't have enough of a neutral advantage to really justify her like being even or winning the matchup. It's just like the biggest thing is that the biggest thing about Sheik fighting Duck Hunt is just that like she's going to be trading with Can a lot just because of Shield Can. And just because like we do outrange her with Fair, that it's just naturally going to happen that she's going to eat damage. She's going to have a lot of trades. And if she's getting all that stuff and we're able to set up the cans again, it's going to be hard. It's not hard to set up against Pikachu. Because like when the match starts, you can get your can out automatically. And then if you know where to place like your gunman out, then you'll be fine. Because the other thing too is like if Pikachu uses T-Jolt too much and it gets stale, it won't kill Gunman and it won't kill Clay Pigeon. So if you're using T-Jolt in that respect and I know it's stale, I can just Clay Pigeon through you and you'll either die or you'll take like 50%. So Pikachu has to be really careful about the way that they use T-Jolt. No, literally none of Pikachu's options work against Shield Can. It legitimately does not work. Unfortunately. Yeah, no, like the thing is like if you haven't fought a Duck Hunt that knows how to punish T-Jolt, you don't realize how bad T-Jolt is in the matchup. Like T-Jolt is like once you see T-Jolts hit your Can or a Gunman or your Clay Pigeon, that means, okay, my Gunmans will not die and my Clay Pigeons will punish them if they're falling down with T-Jolt. Like it's literally an automatic punish that if you see them press T-Jolt and they're falling down, you don't even have to think about it. You just do it automatically. Okay, next up, the last of the evens. So I'm going to put, let me talk Snake. Snake, once again, is the best version of the antithesis of Duck Hunt. Really heavy, projectile-focused character that sort of has a bad recovery, but his recovery is kind of weird. So basically, Duck Hunt's going to be winning neutral a lot, and once you know how to fight grenades, especially with the way that Clay Pigeon can just kind of go right through them, it's really hard for Snake to gain any ground in there. And when you know how to use Can to like harass him in the air, and if you're able to get like a Can explosion on him when he's in the air, he can die ridiculously early. And if you can bait out the air dodge and the attacks, then that's a very easy just like aerial punish too. But the thing is like, you know, while we can edge guard him very easily, he has Nikita, which edge guards us very easily as well. Not to mention, what is it? He's got Nikita. You know, even if you're winning, as long as he's still alive, like he can still realistically kill you at 40% because his punish game's ridiculous. He has some down throw combos that work exclusively on Duck Hunt because the Duck is a hurt box, which really sucks. So he's got the punish game. Neutral is not unwinnable, but it's not great for him. But like overall, it's like we should be winning neutral more, and if he gets enough openings, he should be killing us. And yeah, that was a very unoptimized set. Like that was so early into Ultimate's life cycle. It's too bad because like Raito didn't really know the anti-snake tech at that point, but you know, MVD just kind of knew enough about fighting Duck Hunt. They didn't really have to change up too much, but there's good adaptation there. So yeah, and that's that one. Next up, I am going to put Wario. Wario is like the best version of the Yoshi matchup, just because it's like he has really good kill setups with waft and all that stuff. Really heavy, floaty, so very hard to kill because of the weight. He's very easy to edgeguard just because Arcan deals with Bike extremely well. But, you know, he can also eat Can and Clay Pigeon to help charge up. And since he no longer has the explosion thing anymore, you know, it doesn't really have to worry about that, like being an easy punish on him. Now he actually has kill confirms outside of Waft, which was kind of a big thing for him. So, like, overall, not that bad. It's just, like, I think Wario has enough to make it even. Next up, Palutena. Honestly, this is not a bad matchup at all. Palutena is very, very linear, and she's bad at fighting short characters. So you really shouldn't be too worried about fighting her if you understand how her neutral works. Like, she's either going to be approaching you with Bear or Dash Attack. And, like, once you kind of know those two things, and she might be poking you with Fair too, you'll kind of be fine. Like, Shield Can's going to work against Fairs. If she dash attacks your shield, that's an easy punish there. If she's doing Bear against you and you're trying to shield Can, just know how to parry that. You'll get the punish on her. And not to mention, if she does Bear badly, shield Can actually will punish that too. Then what else is there? Yeah, so it's like overall, it's kind of hard for her to get something set up in neutral. It's just that, you know, if she lands one nair on you, she can kind of drag you off stage, and she's still incredible at edge guarding us, so that's really good. But, you know, neutral-wise, you should be winning a lot more. Punish game-wise, you know, she also does have Explosive Flame. So if you're not careful about Explosive Flame and you're pulling projectiles carelessly, that will blow you up, and that will kill you really easily. So kind of like Wonder Wing from Banjo, just always got to be conscious that's an option. And once you are, and like you're able, like you tell yourself, okay, when she does Explosive Flame, I'm going to go in and close the gap and punish her, you'll have a much easier time fighting her. It's just like Explosive Flame's really good. The invincibility stuff's pretty good. The mobility's really good on her part. So it's not too hard for her to get in. And because she kind of has like such an anti-Duck Hunt thing with Explosive Flame, that it does force you to play very differently. But like overall, it's just not that bad. And because she's light too, it's like punish game wise, she dies relatively early as well. So if you know what you're doing, it's not that bad. Another one that's kind of like more controversial, which I'm going to put two more over here, Shulk and then ZSS. Shulk is a knowledge check character in like the truest form possible. Shulk, if you do not know how to fight him, is going to eat you alive. Giant sword, deals with projectiles and everything really well. Has crazy options because of Monado arts like speed, jump, buster, smash, shield, which is the fun killer. All really hard, weird things to defend. Like, we physically cannot kill him if he's in shield. But the thing is because his frame data is so bad, he actually does become fairly predictable what he's going to do depending on what art he's in, just because his options are limited due to his frame data that is realistically possible for him. So if he's a jump, you'll kind of know he's going to just kind of do like these high jumping maneuvers to kind of circle camp. So you can place your can in those areas to help intercept him. And if he decides to hit the can, you can go up and punish him as well. If he's in speed, he's probably going to do cross up nair. And if you kind of know that, you can set up shield can because he won't space that properly. Then if he's in buster mode, you can just kind of like just run away from him. Shield mode, you can just kind of run away from him. Smash mode, you got to be a little bit careful about, but you just got to remember he can't damage your shields all that well. But if he can kill you off a grab, that's when you need to be careful. So, you know, just kind of be ready, wait for him to leave himself open and vulnerable, then you go ahead and punish that. And yeah, that's kind of that. ZSS, I feel like Even's a good spot to put her. ZSS has always struggled to fight short characters, and that still reigns true in this game. It's just hard for her to get the hitboxes there. And now that her confirms aren't nearly as good as what they used to be, she has to fish a lot more for the kill. So some raw Bs, which because Duck Hunt's so short, hard to get to work and not have us fall out. The other thing too is like, you know, flip kick and nair. She has to make sure like she aims for the bottom as well, which, you know, nair, she's kind of already doing that. Zaire is kind of hard to hit us with, which she can kind of use that to lead into certain things as well. It's just that she has to like fish a lot more. But the big thing about ZSS is we can't ledge trap her. We can't really edge guard her just because she has flip kick, which kind of invalidates all that. Of course, at the top of it, she loses her invincibility, so you can jump there preemptively to punish it. And, you know, she still has a really good punish game. Like nair flip kick, if you don't DI out, that's going to kill you at 40%. You're just good. You're dead. You're gone. Nothing you can do about that. What else is there? You know, she's still really good at juggling too, so if she does get the grab or hit on Duck Hunt, she's going to keep you up in the air forever. But like neutral-wise, it's hard for her to win it. She's really quick, so she can get in and prevent you from setting up. And she does have side B, so she doesn't really need to deal with shield can because of that. But like that's also a very slow and punishable move, so if you're ready for it, you can just kind of bait it out by shielding over your can, then just jump as she's doing it, and then just go in and punish her. But yeah, she's also very light, so if she's very careless with like spamming back airs, shield can's going to kill her. Up air kills her relatively early as well. If you can get a good back air, it's going to kill her early as well. But you know, she's still very quick. She's very explosive. She doesn't have a hard time navigating around Duck Hunt's projectile, so if she's able to do that and like get there, then she can kill you. Yeah, if you missed my explanation, Shulk's biggest shortcoming is always going to be frame data because that makes him very telegraphed on what he's going to do in each Monado art. And it prevents him from all the options that he possibly has going against you. So like jump, he's most likely going to be circle camping, or he's going to be trying to do like a big punish of like fair, cross it. Speed, he's going to be doing cross up nairs, so you can shield cam that because he's not going to space that too well. Buster mode, basically, you just kind of play your normal spacing game. He's a lot slower during that time, so it's kind of easier to play around that. And if you get hits on him, you do so much damage to him. Smash, he basically doesn't really have an answer for shield unless you're at a high percent where he can kill you with down throw at the ledge, so you need to be careful. But the thing is, it's like, you know, on paper, Duck Hunt, Shulk has so many good things against fighting Duck Hunt, like really big sword, and he does have really good mobility with the Monado arts. But it's like the more that you understand how Shulk functions, the easier that it is to fight him. Obviously on Wi-Fi, it's going to be hard. Big sword, big distance, and he's very fast. It's going to be hard to react to it. But like if you understand where he wants to go with jump art, you understand where he wants to go with speed art, and you know how to place your setups and all that stuff, he's not too hard to fight. Yeah, as I said, at the ledge with smash art, that's the one time you have to worry about it. But like outside of that, you don't really have to. You know, he's also not easy to edge guard, but like, you know, speed art, I mean, shield art's not a big thing to deal with either. But yeah, it comes down to, like, Shulk is definitely a matchup you need to learn. If you don't know the matchup, Shulk's a strong advantage. But once you learn it, it goes down to even. So after this, slight disadvantage, well, actually, Greninja's also here too. Greninja, if you lose to Greninja, it's because you don't know how he functions. Greninja has like a pretty a ground game and a dash game, but he kind of runs into that same issue of doesn't have anything safe against shield can, and he has very specific ways he needs to kill. He needs to do like down tilt or dash attack into fair, and then like higher percents with like up throw or nair fair. But the thing is this, his frame data in the air is absolutely atrocious. So as long as you know as long as he's jumping in the air, you could just basically stuff him out and know that he's coming down with an attack. And as long as you place the hitbox in the right area, he physically just can't hit you. So you can control that very, very well with can, because generally speaking, his options are going to be too slow to even deal with can. It's like Nair's frame 12, forward air's frame 16. Back air's his only quick option, but he's facing you. He doesn't even have access to that. And then up air's above, so that's not going to hit below. Down air's frame 17. So can's really good for controlling Greninja. And then when he's doing Water Shuriken, you can pressure him with Gunman. Only full charge is going to go through it, but you'll be able to shield it before that happens. No, like, I'm not denying that Shulk's punish game is amazing. Like, if he gets Jump Art and he hits you with a Nair or a Fair, there's a very good chance that you're dead. Oh. I'm going to be getting water real quick, so I'll be right back. All right, just got refilled my water real quick. Okay. So yeah, with Shulk, if he's on speed or jumping auto, very realistically he can just kind of kill you off of that, just because like the way that he can carry Duck Hunt off stage and edge guard him is amazing. But the thing is, it's like for him to get that opening and to get to that point is a lot more difficult than you think it is, as long as you know what you're doing. If you're being very careless with how you're pulling and all that stuff, he's going to have no issues. And if the Shulk's not doing it, he's not doing it properly. But the thing is, it's like you will have the advantage in neutral like way more often than not. And then like Shulk does not, like, unless he has jump, he doesn't have the best options to get off of ledge either. So you can kind of just keep punishing him there too. So that's kind of where it comes down to. And also keep in mind, if he's in jump art, he dies a lot earlier. Same with speed art as well. If he's in Smash Mode art, that will kill him earlier as well. If he's in Buster mode, I know it kills earlier as well too. So it's like him being in all those modes does make it easier to kill him too. And also, if he's careless and he wants to do like the high air slash, Shiokan will beat that as well. But yeah, Greninja, basically, you just need to know how to fight him in the air, which is that his frame data is terrible if he's facing you. So you can control the air really nicely with Can, and then just kind of anti-air him with that. His recovery got a little bit more tricky, so you just gotta wait for the Shadow Sneak, and then after Shadow Sneak, you can just throw out a hitbox and beat his Hydro Pump for free. So that option is actually really, really bad. So if you're really good at catching that, you'll kill him very easily. But, you know, he is at least able to mess with Can with Water Shuriken. He is really fast, so he can put the pressure on Duck Hunt in terms of how often he's able to set up. But the thing is this, is like, Shield's really good against Greninja just because his grab is very slow. Like, Greninja's grab is frame 10, which is basically a tether grab. So, you know, being 4 frames slower than, like, you know, most regular grabs, like, you'll have more than enough time to just react with a spot dodge there. So, you know, that's all well and good. So that's kind of how I see all that stuff. Pokemon Trainer, I honestly have to think a little bit more about this one, but I think like Pokemon Trainer is a slight advantage. Main reason, we beat Charizard pretty convincingly. Squirtle, I think we beat. I think even Ivysaur we beat now too. It's just that like because Pokemon Trainer is so dynamic and they can just do so many different things, it's kind of hard to say, especially if they know how to use their Pokemon in the right instances. Like, let's say they get Duck Hunt off stage, they switch Charizard for the edge guarding segment, or Ivysaur. That's smart. Because like Charizard should kill earlier, but Ivysaur's down air is also really good too. But you can kind of mitigate the down air with Can, whereas like Fire Breath we can't really do too much about. So honestly, there's kind of a lot of things with that. So for now, I think Slight Advantage is a pretty good place to put Pokemon Trainer. But yeah, I'd have to play it a little bit more. But honestly, like Pokemon Trainer is just such a varied character that it should be a little bit easier to talk about the Pokemon individually than the character as a whole. But you can't really do it without talking about the character as a whole. I think combined, Slight Advantage, but like Charizard, you know, that's advantage. Squirtle, I think is like slight advantage or advantage. I'd say slight advantage. And then Ivysaur is like slight advantage too. And then finally we have the last two, which I think are the only disadvantageous matchups in total. Mega Man and Joker. So I would normally argue for Mega Man to be an even, but I think Mega Man got enough buffs that I can no longer say that. The biggest thing with Mega Man that he got changed was the amount of kill confirms that he got. And it's honestly quite staggering. Like, he can now do like back air, up tilt, metal blades into back air, metal blade into up tilt. Also, like how heavy he is, he'll live for a very, very long time unless you're really good with your edge guarding or your ledge trapping, you're getting bear. Up air is not going to like straight up kill him and all that stuff for a while. But yeah, no, it's just kind of hard. So yeah, like I think overall, neutral wise, you should win a little bit against Mega Man, but it's kind of even in that front. And then Mega Man wins the punish game of survivability. So Mega Man wins that. Joker, with him, just overall, it comes down to having a ridiculously good punish game, really, really good mobility. And then the other thing too is just the fact that like he can kind of rebels guard the projectiles to give himself Arsene is kind of something difficult to deal with. I need to play this matchup a little bit more. Offline to like kind of have more thoughts about it. The one thing is that Joker, I think the only move that he has safe against shield can is actually back air. I think like Nair always loses the shield can, fair, dare, and fair and dare will lose the shield can. Obviously can't use up air. And then the other thing too with him is Aga's pretty good for dealing with like gunmen and all that stuff. But overall, it's like, it's not going to be like that big of a deal. It's just like, it can just like do, it's just kind of there. It's kind of like a worse version of like Ness's PK Fire, but when it's the Arsene version of Agaha, then that's really good. So that's like the one thing that you need to be very, very careful with. So yeah, overall, this is my matchup chart. Let me just go through this real quick before I finalize and close it out. Obviously, Duck Hunt versus Duck Hunt's the absolute worst matchup. Duck Hunt always loses the Duck Hunt Ditto, so nothing's gonna ever be that oppressive. Don't worry. You are never going to find another Duck Hunt main, so you never have to play that matchup. But yeah, regardless. Something to keep in mind with Duck Hunt is keep in mind that these placements are playing at the maximum potential of what Duck Hunt can do. Theoretically, I don't think anyone is ever going to be able to play Duck Hunt to the caliber and have the matchup knowledge to get to this point where they can do it. Everybody is going to be good in I would say in this pool in particular, slight advantage, even, and slight disadvantage. This is the one area where your matchup chart should look different for everybody, because certain characters you're going to be really good at fighting against. Like, let's say you're really good at fighting projectile characters like Rob and Robin. Like, they might be, like, you might say, like, no, that's an advantage. And then you might be really bad at fighting swords like Cloud, and you'll be like, what are you talking about? Like, Cloud hard beats me, or like, that's totally even, or something like that. Dude, this is a long stream. So with things like that, slight advantage, even, and slight disadvantage, these are all the matchups for the most part that you guys should probably be debating, and these are the ones that you should probably be having the most issues with. These are like, with if you look at the characters, these characters, not really common outside of maybe Samus. These characters, Bowser's like the most common, but overall not common characters. These characters, Ike's like the only one that's common. Luigi's debatable, but and Captain Falcon. So, okay, some popular characters there. Rule, relatively popular, but you're not going to really run into good rules for the most part. So overall, this entire thing, not popular characters. The fact is, most of the metagame is centered around slight advantage, even, slight disadvantage. That's pretty much the metagame outside of like a few weird characters. And that's the thing. In terms of the metagame, he either is even or slightly loses or slightly beats most of the characters that you are going to fight in a tournament setting. And that's the reason why that you're not going to see Duck Hunt be consistently in top 25 or top 20 characters. Not only is Duck Hunt ridiculously hard to understand in actually knowing how to play all these matchups, it's just that most people aren't even going to be exposed to a good Duck Hunt player. And if the Duck Hunt player is fighting somebody and they don't know the matchup or they're bad against that play style, then they're going to think either that Duck Hunt's very bad or they just like may play a Duck Hunt player that's going to completely overwash them. They'll be like, I didn't know the matchup. That's the reason why I lost. So that's kind of always going to be like the most difficult thing about people talking about Duck Hunt and just like really not understanding what he can do. Theoretically, this is pretty realistic for what you can do with this character. And keep in mind, I'm not really putting ratios in here because like honestly, there's so many different things. Don't worry, this is going to be saved and put on the Duck Hunt Discord. So don't worry about that. And other things too is like there's some that I'm not confident with, like Piranha Plant. I honestly have no idea where to rate this guy because I haven't played this matchup enough. And like ideally neutral's a stalemate between them. So that's the reason why Piranha Plant's hard to talk about. Min, nothing's really been optimized with character. So even this isn't relevant. Gunner, don't know enough. This could probably swing even more in her favor, but don't know enough. Rosa, don't know enough. They honestly, labbing from Rosa players, more this way. Labbing from us might even go more that way, but honestly probably won't be any worse than this, but I can see her getting better. Ice Climbers, honestly more labbing. This might even get better for us, but but if there's some good improvements on them, might get better for them. So there's a lot of things that are still contested, and keep in mind this isn't even the final patch, so there's a good chance that some of these might be completely different later on. But loses a lot more. So this is the thing that you need to remember about Duck Hunt. You are playing a character that dominates the neutral. Like, compared to most of these characters, like, there might be, like, realistically, like, 6 or 8 where he may not have a clear advantage over. And, like, the reason why you're losing neutral to those other characters that he wins is because you need to play neutral extremely different. Like, the way that you play a Fox neutral compared to a Rob neutral, very, very different. If you're playing the Rob neutral against Fox, you're just going to get up smashed and die. Yeah, overall, it's like, I feel like just because of like the mid-range game, I feel like Duck Hunt will probably wins it, but I need to play it more. Like, I honestly can't say much about that. And like, you know, any buffs or nerfs that could happen are going to completely change it. But like the thing is, like, Duck Hunt is like the most technical and like dynamic character that if you do not have like thorough knowledge on how your character functions and how the other character functions and their playstyle of that character, you could have a very rough time. But if it's like, if you have all of those things together and all that stuff, then you're going to play a lot better. Like, Duck Hunt has the tools to deal with anything. And like, very much so much that. And because of the way that Ultimate works, he got a lot more advantageous matchups. Like before, it was basically only the heavies that he would hard beat, and then like Samus and Wii Fit Trainer. And then the rest were like advantage or slight advantage. Also keep in mind these mid ones, that means that they can either go up, down, but for the most part, these characters are at least better than that, and these can go up or down. So the thing is, you need to remember is Poison Cloud can actually interfere with Can, and it breaks Clay Pigeon. So he doesn't really have to deal with it too often. It's just if you hit Piranha Plant with a Clay Pigeon, that does a lot. But yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, that's the issue. Like, just getting a good... Like, the thing is, Duck Hunt needs to react in that matchup, and, oh, God, that's... Just fighting somebody that's within your range, that's a good Duck Hunt player to do it, that's going to be tough. But this is the thing. Yeah, so obviously, things are going to change. Some people are going to find new things with these characters, and this is going to do it. But this is what you need to know. From this part here, advantage or slight advantage and above, these are the characters that you should know how to fight. And as long as you know how to play Duck Hunt well, you shouldn't struggle with these characters. The ones below this, these require a lot more nuance and a lot more things for you to learn. And basically, this should be your starting point of knowing how well do you understand this character. That's the best way to look at this matchup chart. This isn't a law. This is just a general guidance of how you should be feeling in these things. And there's a lot more breakdowns I could do in each one. If you guys have any other questions, please ping me up in the Discord and I'll be more than happy to answer them. I do have to get going somewhere. I'm going to save this thing right now. So then that way we have it. And yeah, trust me, like this, I bet you the second that I tweet this out, I'm going to get blown up like crazy and people are just going to call me crazy and delusional. But truth of the matter is, it's just like they don't understand Duck Hunt, or the way that they view the game is entirely from their perspective. If your perspective of the game is that because I hit you 2 or 3 times, I win and that makes a good character, Duck Hunt is never going to be a good character in your eyes. But if you understand like the risk reward of terms of winning neutral that much, controlling your opponent in every aspect of it, and how that can lead to your kill eventually without needing to rush it, then you understand why this character is good. And if you understand the flexibility of his tools, that's how you understand why this character is good. But without having that knowledge there to really like understand and dissect everything, it's kind of hard to come to that conclusion. So with that said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. iDonuts, glad you could join in. If you have any more questions about this chart, I'd be happy to tell you later on and all that stuff. Also, shout outs to the 1 sub that we got from Boss Sauce. If you're still here, thanks for just tuning in with me for this long. Everybody else that stayed, you know, this is definitely like the most successful stream that I've had so far. So glad you all joined in. Obviously, this is going to get uploaded to the YouTube channel and everything, so you can see it there. So it'll be there momentarily. And yeah, you will finally have this thing to look at. And I'm glad I was finally able to provide it to you. So hope you guys continue to support me in the future. Remember, tomorrow I'm going to try to do a match critique stream. It just depends if I get home early enough. If not, it'll be moved to Tuesday. And we'll see. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And until then, take care of yourselves until the next one.